Okay, I'm starting the YouTube.
Give me a second to get my picture lined up.
Okay, I'm live, so we're ready to go. Thank you.
Okay, it appears that the audio is good. We'll check on the live stream there. Okay. Welcome everyone to the continuation of the 68th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. It's Friday, July 3rd, 2015. And basically we're continuing with last day's workshop that we were here with Alex, and he's here again today with Mr. Keshe. And we're going to no doubt be reviewing more about the energy packs and so on, the power supply pack for home and automobile and other such topics. Okay, Mr. Keshe, are you ready to go there?
Yes, thank you very much. Rick, you got to speak slightly louder because Winston's speaker is high. And then when we get yours, our cameraman has a problem. Yeah, but he has to bring it up because we don't hear Rick properly. First of all, good morning, good day to you, wherever you are, and whenever you listen to this broadcasting of the teaching. And today, Friday, children, shh, I have to show my power. So today is unusual for us to broadcast on Fridays, but we are live on the live stream and simultaneously on the teaching room. The reason for it is the development which we have shown yesterday in respect to the energy supply power unit and staying for the car unit. And today it's a pleasure to have Alex back again, because now we're going into the next section of the teaching. What is important is to have an idea what we have achieved from the work of yesterday. And is there something you want to say? No? Are you sure? I've got two naughty students sitting next to each other. In this place, we don't have a back row. Usually the naughty ones sit in the back row. These two sit in the front row and make the maximum noise. Irrelevant. And we call them the masters. That's the problem. Chit-chat. So what we have done yesterday, we showed the first what we call permanent power supply. Alex explained the basis of it, and to show the working of it, we connected it to two fans, and the two fans were running since yesterday we started. Connected to 2 meters, one showing what is coming into the system and what is system putting back into the grid. And strange enough, it's very much the way we saw it yesterday. It has come at this moment. If you can come close, the power supply into the system is just about 0.3 kilowatt. What is put into the grid is 0.3, 0.4 roughly. What is put into the grid is over or just about over 1.6 kilowatt. So we have put 4 times more energy into the grid than what we have used. So in fact, we haven't used anything, but we put 1.2 kilowatt of energy since yesterday lunchtime into the grid. If we increase the power demand internally, the supply will go higher too. So this is one of the changes which has huge application and implication, not only for showing a free power supply, it has the implication that we know a large number of people yesterday watched this. I have received a lot of emails and communication, and even government officials have asked how we can support the government with this. It's very interesting. What can we do for the government now? We've shown this. And As we have most of this structure in operation, we have started the immediate mass production commercialization as of yesterday, actually this morning. So the Chinese section of the Keshe Foundation with Mr. Hoy and Sohail have kicked in to start the programming of the manufacturing. And within the next few days, manufacturing in Italy starts too. So we support two positions between Italy and here, between Italy and China. And as usual, we'll let you know what happens. Because we explain to you something later on today. If things happen the way we're expecting it, we'll make a very profound announcement by the foundation. So what is done, if you go overall, is the system does not create any energy. The system is not a power supply. The system is gathering any plasmatic energy which is within the environment of the chain, or what we call the beads. So you are not going to burn any fuel, you are collecting any gravitational magnetic field in the environment. But with setting up of the two, one a star formation and one a loose reactor, we release the energy of the plasma into the environment for the beads to collect. They are not connected to each other at all. They have nothing to do with each other. The star formation, your top core is bubbling, Mr. Arman. It's got excited. So the reactors release the GaNs energy into the environment of the room, and the beads as a gravitational magnetical system collect it. In a way, the amount of energy put to run the motors is so minute. In a coming time, we can connect the motors of the power supply, the two star formation and the motor, back into the plugs. So in a way, the system feeds itself. It's a self-sufficient and efficient way to do it. But the difference will be that you can pull a lot of kilowatts and whatever you need in DC and AC. Because when you do a system, you have to look at the totality, and you just don't look as a positive to look good. The motors consume energy to release their plasma, and this in turn is collected. So the motors, they go back in. Actually, one of the most interesting things will be that is that once we add the motors to the system, the demand of the motors will put pressure on the grid to supply more. What I'm going to do, would you like to do it?
What, to put the demand on motor next?
Yeah, connect your motors to the panel. Yeah, it should be no problem. A man should understand the correctness of his own technology. I know what's going to happen. There should be no problem. So don't hesitate.
So you have to
Just connect yourself to the power supply. Let our Marco will do it.
Okay.
Marco will do it for you.
Yeah. Okay, we have this
Help. Come on. Stop being gladiator.
Mr. Keshe.
Yeah, motors are here. Okay. So. Okay, which one?
Connect that one to this socket. Exactly. And put it there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. So, without stopping them. No, it's okay. Maximum your motors burns out. Really rush. Quick. Come from the back. Come from the back. It's okay. Give it to me here. It's okay. So, we power.
Do we have strips?
Yes, we have a strip.
This isn't it. DC current.
Pardon?
This is DC.
This is disconnected.
No, it's not disconnected.
This is not running.
Yeah, we have to let it. It's gonna run. Just.
Okay, there we are. It's running.
Yeah.
So in a way, now we are at 1.7 kilowatts and 0.4 kilowatts coming out and going in. So now we see, even to supply to create the plasma, it supplies itself and puts more demand on it. Debbie, are you happy, sir? You got enough? Happy? Sure? Okay. Now we go. So, in a way, you may sit down now. You'll be called on line of duty in a minute.
Okay.
No problem. So, what you see, it has to be the totality, not just showing the good part. Yesterday up to now, we took energy from the grid to power these, but you'll find out now the power supply into the grid will go higher because we put more demand on it. So we should see a faster rotation. So we got to see where we're going to go and how it's going to develop by this afternoon. We have a light here which we have to bring in that our cameraman can see. We put it out of line. This is another part of the demand. Do you see it better? Are the numbers any good? Or do you want me to change it slightly? Yeah, you see the 7. What about the bottom one? So, you see, I don't become a sound man or the light man or the cameraman. I cause problem, but I don't solve any. Okay. The problem I cause here is nothing but I cause for the human race. There we are. Better now? You see this? Looks good. So, what about the 4? Can you go down? Yeah. Can you go down on the 4? Down. 4. Low. This one. Questo. Ah. Okay, no problem. So the most important thing is that there is a lot of movement going on. If the cameraman turn around, everybody is doing, sit down. You're like a bunch of naughty children waiting to go around the classroom. You should see them one by one. There we go. There is no, I turn my back and everybody's on the run. Good job, I don't wear. No problem. We can see now what's happening. So men never grow. Men never grow up. Doesn't matter. Am I correct, Sandy? 1-year-old, 100-year-old, still the same.
Exactly.
That's why we play football. So we see the development, the energy is much higher than in putting into the grid 4-to-1. And now we have not only the fan, we have the motors powering themselves, and we have a light which is used for the projection of the camera. So what has actually happens now is that the system has become its own supplier. This is how the universal systems work. This is how the Earth, the sun, a plasma of the solar system works. They regurgitate their own energy. That's why they last a long time. Now we release energy, we capture it, we feed it back again to the motor, we release energy of the plasma. So very, very little is wasted. When we go into mass production, this system will be very much on top of this. And if you understand this, it's actually the Earth and the man on the top. Because now we are the same as the circuit we see. Armand, you're very wobbly in number 4. Had a little bit of a drink last night, I think. It's just still going. So what happens is continuously the energy feed goes on. You release energy in this, and energy immediately is captured, some of it, not all of it, by the system. The loose reactor is inert, doesn't matter where it is, it's on its wheels, it can fly anywhere. With this, you dictate the boundary much more profound, so you can push it to different position. So in a way, in the future, you'll find out that the loose reactor is more or less the limit of boundary you can dictate. So you don't go supplying the next door neighbor, or you don't take energy from them because they need their energy for their own home. So these things you come to understand, this is your boundary limit. But you got to use it the right way. You can do what we did in the Sensano, is to position reactors in a specific position that you can barrier bound sound while they are producing energy. What does this mean? The people who were with us in the Sensano, we had a structure like this. There was a motorway, high street going that way. The building was here. There's a second building. And the living quarters, this was the, later became the SSI, but the living quarters were here. The house was getting hit by sound on both sides because the motorway was twisting around the building. So it was 5 o'clock in the morning when the trucks go, hundreds of them, the sound becomes unbearable. Even though we were about a kilometer away or so, we could still hear it. So what I did, I created a sound barrier. So doesn't matter what time of the day, the sound was constant at the way I wanted it. We never heard the motorway before. One of people who you know, when he came to see us, when he started walking, he said, here noise is much more than here. I said, that's what I told you. We hear from the fat boys yesterday, 10-meter radius, it affects their mobile phone. So now you understand how actually, in a very clever way, but not trying to rub it in, but just to explain it in a very fancy way. What did you call it? Oh, the American president called it the toy. The most sophisticated American. Would you like Americans to tell us what we did to you? It's good to know we can do a bit more. But it was for a good reason. It brought a lot of pressure for peace. When we captured the American drone, it's more or less the same thing. Now, our Chinese friend, they say 10 meter. In a spacecraft, when you're in a spaceship, this is your barrier. You decide it. That little thing gives the boundary or direction of the boundary where you want it. Because in the Sensano, my conjunction was here. I didn't want so much noise here because we couldn't hear. It was set that we cover that side. So we can make it directional. In the case of the American drone, you have more or less 8, one of the top satellites monitoring, and the system have a self-destruction inside. My house didn't, but the American drone did. Nothing. The instant you apply the barrier, it's zero communication. We use the technology discreetly in the Sensano, but our American friends tasted it on the ground. And this is exactly what happened when the Russians took the American Navy last year, 5th of May. Because the boat is on the move, they put a plane fixed up without anybody knowing they position a submarine, and they just gave the parameter where they want it to be. Your system on the top, the bead, your star formation, and your loose reactor. Anything in between is food for the dogs, as they say in American. You can eat, you can do whatever you like, because you cannot shout for help because nobody hears you. But strange enough, if you create the right condition, you can receive only your own frequency of line of communication. So the craft which crosses never loses because it's already secured in bandwidth. And as you heard very recently, Russians have tested the exact system of Iranian capturing drone, and they brought one down past few days. So it's not coincidence. I announced on the 3rd of December that we're going to show the power. On the 4th of December, drone was captured, and our friends, as a happy birthday, on the 3rd of December 2012, captured the other one. Just to say it wasn't coincidence. And now the Russians have announced they've done the same thing. Now you see the technology in real performance. But they are much more complicated than this because it's sequential. You do what you do, you capture all the gravitational and magnetic fields at the same time. So this system, what you see, as the American president called it, can we have our toy back to the Iranian government about the drone? This is actually a toy. It has a lot of application around the home. You want to make a room silent where you don't want any noise. You want a room where you can play the drum and the neighbors don't hear. You want a room where you and your wife can go and do all the shouting you like, and you come out and you smile. We are a very nice family. It has a lot of applications. You don't like when the children play in the grandpa room, you make the room of the grandpa not to hear the children. All it is, you have to know how you load the system that covers certain parameters. This is what we call the amplifier yesterday. Total cost, a few dollars. In a space you don't want to hear or see certain frequencies or bandwidth or plasma strength. You block according to your need. Because some of it is good for you, some of it is not. In the house in the Sensano, I set it up in a way I could receive any telephone call. I could receive all the data, but I wouldn't receive the noise of the street. So we're a few years ahead. But now you have it, you have to see what you're going to do with it. This is not going to be very good for a lot of neighbors, huh? Because one neighbor says, your system is too close. I have to put more things in. I have to use more GANs. You can transfer energy. But if you understand how to do it, in a space, you keep it central, you put a barrier on this side, barrier on that side, you can create a wall and a noise barrier as you like. It has huge application. You look at it as an energy supply, but it's the future of construction in the skin of the man. If you look at it, we said if you put 3 ganses, it gives you the visibility of your skin. If you know how to do the 3 layer of ganses, what do you think you're going to get? You get the skin. If you sequentially set the beads in a specific way, hanging in a way, you will understand in the future the beads will become reactors in a very small way. On this side of the wall, you have an orange color wall. On this side of the wall, you have a pink color wall or a blue. These are the things you come to understand. But now that we started the discussion and we can show it physically how you create energy, you use that energy in a correct way for production of fields the way you want it. Convert the energy into food. You convert that energy because it's plasmatic. Here, what we see at the 1.7 or 1.8 compared coming out, it's most probably, if you go by order of factor, the system is producing 1.7 kilowatts of electron vibration, because vibration is very much energy consuming. In fact, in plasmatic, it's a huge difference. It's a lot of waste of energy. You have to reduce the energy so much to make it detectable, acceptable by the vibration of the electrons in the cables that it shows itself as electric current. If you look at what you actually receive in the beads, if you go by power, you see now 1.7 kilowatts since yesterday. But if you go in a plasmatic, the way it's going from the systems to the thing is like this. Energy at the source, you are connecting crumbs. And you're happy because now, at least up to now, you are burning something to get. You're happy with 1.7 kilowatts from what is coming from the systems. Here is unlimited source. So the next step for our scientists like Arman and our Alex is to take the technology to the next step. Start creating systems which work with plasma, not with electron vibration. In space, there is no electron vibration. It's a plasma transformation. This is not here today just to show we can produce 1.7. You are very, very human. Unfortunately, very limited in your greed, and you're happy with 1.7 out of 1.7 to the power of 100. If you don't know what it means 1.7, 1.7, 1.7, 1.7, 1.7, 1.7, and thereon. Because the human race has not reached a position to use the plasma, you're happy with the problems, which is electron vibration. When the gravitational magnetic field of a plasma through interaction reduces enough, it becomes matter vibration. So now you can see how much you're losing. Because from any of the base reactors, no electron comes out. It's purely magnetic field at the highest order. So you're happy to have this. At least it's the start of the change. And now, if you can increase it by using the plasma, then you see. Very, very little delivers huge amount. This is more or less, if you go there, somewhere is the principle. This is your transition. You become to matter state, and you're happy with the matter state. So, Alex, your job has just started.
Equal to the task.
So, the development of the plasma technology has shown itself for the first time. Now, we have to go to the next step. I've seen people saying the bead type thing has been done in December or January of last year. Nobody ever connected the two together to collect it. You collected little amount of current and you're happy you're collecting charges. Now you see how the operation works in through a space. The process, the way the beads work, is very simple. That's why it's building up. Yesterday, we were happy 1 to 2. Now we are 1 to 4. In a time coming, if the system was built correct way, you work. Because go back to 129, the structure. This setup is wrong. This setup, we have to show it this way. This setup should be the star formation on the side and a single core in the middle. So the single core demands the energy in the direction of the beat.
That is how I configured mine.
This is how you done at your home. Now it tells you that's what is done. So you make the star formation, you make a weaker condition, so create demand, and in direction it comes, it collects energy. You have to see where you're positioning this. You want to create a barrier, you go outside. If you look at the beads, the way they are set up, gravitational, magnetical. So this way, we have just touched the base in doing it. And then in how you load up your reactors in composition will have a huge effect on this. If you don't want huge energy extraction, you only need to do is move this out of position. Now, some of the fields come, most is diverted. You want to go vertical, you want to go to land. You want to dictate the direction of the motion. You got to play in a plasma. In the coming days, I don't say till we've done everything the way we did with Alex to get him here. I'll bring you the flying machines. I don't bring you. People like Alex have already achieved it. We bring them in. But you're not ready for it. And don't forget, my time is 21st of December, 2016. I have a long way to play yet. So try to understand how you can increase the power. Try to understand how you got to move into the plasma state. There is no electron vibration anywhere in the universe. If it was, At the highest speed you travel, electron vibration would be means death for your aircraft, for your spaceship. It's like a bullet in a vacuum. You have to create conditions now that you protect yourself, but you have to understand what you have with you. So, because up to now we had to do a lot of physical things to get energy, we are happy with what's on the table because it looks better than what we had. But now we got to go to the next step very rapidly to start using the totality of the energy of the plasma. You land on a space, you want to create a protection and still be able to walk with the same environmental gravitation of the Earth at 1g according to our DNA. You create this landing, you create a protection. Space technology in lift and motion is not is going to be with us. It's already with us, but not enough humans are ready to see it. We've seen Vince losing one of his reactors, and it says just shred. It hasn't flown. Vince, would you like to tell us what happened to your unit? He's busy somewhere else. What happened? Can you show us if you have a picture of what happened to your reactor the past few days?
No, I don't have a picture per se. All I can do is describe it.
Describe it, please.
Okay, so I was running just a lower starship formation, meaning without the top reactor, and it was open, like your reactors there at the SSI. And I was working on getting a free plasma. That's what I was trying to do with the 3 bottom reactors. So I set them up with a specific loading, and we had talked about the loading before. And at that point in time, I left and I went to bed because it was overnight for where you guys are now. And I came back in the morning to one reactor on the floor, about 3 meters away from the starship formation, or the formation, directly away from the formation. And what I had noticed when I tried to put the reactor back together was that it must have had a lateral force and not a upwards force, because it had bent and cracked the holding plastic that it was mounted on. So now it's wobbly, to say the least.
It is this detached itself, it pulled itself off the frame.
Yeah, it pulled itself off and flew away.
So, as I explained to Rick, if the core would have flown away, it was different. It has ripped itself off, means it has created a force which can be strong enough to share itself from the position. It flew with the motor or without the motor? Hello, Rick. Hello, Vince.
Sorry, it was spinning. It was doing 700 to 1,000 RPM.
Yeah, but did it take the system, or was it just the core which flew off?
It was the core with the holder. It wasn't the system. The motor is mounted to the acrylic plate that I have them all mounted to. So there's no way that it could
The
do
motor
that.
went with the core or just the core?
Just the core. There was no motor. No.
So we've seen this a number of times in Tehran.
Yeah, and then I used a second reactor and I got the same result.
In the same position.
Same position.
So the field forces from the other three reactors put field force in one direction, and it allows it to find its position. In Tehran, what I did was very simple. The reactor is here. It's creating the earth conditioned reactor with a big white one, and creating a dynamic flow in the smaller two center one. The center one sits on a pin. So the field inside it, the rotation is dictated more or less by this, by not the gas. And every time we reach the point, we could say which way we want the thing to fly. We could dictate the direction of the motion of the flight. It just goes like a baseball in the air. You try to catch. So you can dictate direction of flow. Here in the system, you can do. You have a very high power demand. You bring more field forces from your base into the center. So you can, if you, when you do experiment with it, you decide how much energy you want to extract back within a meter. You can go into hundreds of kilowatts if you load it the right way and if the transmission lines can take it. One of the biggest problems with a new system when you start loading, first of all, is your cable into the main, what main can take, and secondly is how much you can push down the grid to the point of the divisions, substations, what you allow. You overrun substations, and then the substations will create you a lot of problems when you overrun them. It's a surge up the channel. So these things we'll announce in the coming days to the governments to prepare the power stations for a normal shutdown in the coming months, because you will get the transmission lines blowing up. You are pushing a field with a high power coming from power station and a field resisting it. What happens? This is what you get when the power stations, the substations get hit by the lightning. So this is not that you have the systems, you're going to go on. This needs a lot of planning by governments that we don't destroy what is part of the national asset. This is important. This is what I even explained today, earlier on, with Rick and Mr. Hoy, to understand what we've entered. This is not just for you to have a free system, free energy anymore. This is looking after the national assets. This is looking after the people. This is why we work on the new ethos, not just me, the greed, I have energy, I'm finished. You put 1,000 people in one city, a small town, putting thing in, you know what's going to happen in the substation. This is your national asset. You cannot destroy it. This you have to understand. When people buy, today or tomorrow, we announce a structure of informing governments when you purchase them, when you build them. It's your job to do it, because otherwise you cause fires, you cause death. There are engineers down the line on cables, repairing, you don't know. Lines has to be protected. Self-greed should not lead to destruction. So please, now that we open this channel, if your target was to produce energy, understand the consequences of it. That's why we say we don't need leadership, because we understand the problems. We do it ourselves in a correct way. Understand every kilometer of a high tension cable costs you, your work in past years for your government between $1 to $3 million per kilometer. If you want to destroy what is there, you're quite welcome. People in the cable, high power tension cables, can tell you how, if you haven't seen it, people hang on in helicopters, playing with their life to make sure winter-summer cable tension is correct, repairing connections. These are not the points you can go with a, what do you call it, a ladder. You don't want to kill the man and the helicopter down. So please understand, we enter a position that we have to consider and follow a strict program. Not just we have it, we plug it in, I'm happy, forget about the jack. This is what we teach, not only the system, but the ethos and the method of using the system. Otherwise, we are back in the same problem path which has been in the past. I'm happy I have it, forget about the rest. So don't forget, this could be your brother, your son on the cable. If the pressure is too high, the fire down the line, it could be your grandma's or your brother's or your own son and child's house. So please understand, this is not a free forensic. This has to be organized now that it's free in the hand of people. Then you understand why we don't release the space. Let's see how humanity behaves with the free energy. It is not anymore, I produce electricity, forget about it, I have a warm house. But the problem with you is you are the man with a gun in the hand. You are the man with a submachine shooting anything you like. If you want to murder, it's very easy. The more you take from the power of the system, unfortunately, the more you put into the system. And this is the danger. And the way we showed it yesterday is already watched, getting done by thousands of people, and in coming days by millions of people. We make an announcement today. Hopefully, if our people in the background are ready to make the move, that yesterday was to show technology, today to understand the consequence of it. Free time is free time, but there are rules and regulations you have to follow. There are procedures you have to follow. I tell you something very simple. I've said from the beginning. You had your free energy. But don't forget, your life is not just made of energy. Hospitals, schools, roads, pensions, and a lot of other things, the present society is a structure to look after. You have the free energy, no taxes, come to your son, there is no money in the government, no school for your child. You go sick, you haven't paid taxes because now you have a free energy, no hospital. So you have to understand the new system has to be structured. It has to be structured that what the mankind has worked so hard to create does not get destroyed. We keep the best part and we adopt it, but if with a free system you have on your table, it's a free run, don't forget, if the system does not work, you damage your soul, you're responsible for it. You have to pay with your own soul. This is where the correct conduct comes in. We announced today the Cash Foundation will put, most probably before the end of the day, if we can do it, the units with the staff formation, the base, everything done together as 1,000 euro. You can purchase it most probably in the coming hours from the foundation. Delivery within 60 days. And as we build it up, we bring it to immediate within the next 90 days, 120 days as we see the demand. But 1,000 euro, we pay voluntarily by the choice of the purchaser to the nation which he belongs to. You are from Italy, 200 euro will be paid to your national government for replacing the jobs you have destroyed in the oil or the coal industry which supported the energy. You give an undertaking of additional €100 per year to the National Reserve to keep everything in order, which means you can have as much as you like, but you keep the structure going. The structure, what is good, has taken hundreds of years to develop, cannot be destroyed. Most of after expenses, the money will go back to support other part of the society, depending how we see it fit, initially supporting African and third world nations first to come up to the standard of the West. So when you pay €1,000, and what I've done, those who ordered the what do you call 3 to 4 kilowatt power supply, I think it's about 25 left. The rest asked for the refund, they've been refunded. And these are the people close to the foundation, still staying loyal. All of these will be supplied with a new unit at a free cost. So we fulfill our commitment. So on the other hand, you were supposed to get to 3 to 4 kilowatts. Now you get everything free in the condition. But we still, for what we do, we will pay 200 to the country where you bought it from. So in fact, you fulfill your end of bargain, we do our end of bargain. So in reality, it is not a free energy, it's restructuring the society for its next step. If you do not pay the €100, where are you going to find clean road, the police officers, the fire brigade, the ambulances, and the nurses, and the rest? This is how we set a new ethos and new system together. We restructure everything. If you're in Africa, you pay according to the African level. This morning I said to Mr. Hoy, the European level is at €1,000. In China, €1,000 is too much. You balance it to what is for China, that the Chinese can all have the power supply. We estimate between 1 to 2 million supply units per month to start with. It takes us 2 or 3 months to reach it, and the China can reach it. Mr. Hoy is a capable man with his contacts in China and in power supply to meet the demand. So there is a lot of work is going on in the background to prepare governments, to prepare people to understand what is to come. If we don't do, it'll be governments after you, you stealing the electricity in the background, you have to pay. This way, we confront first. We are using it, we are replacing for you to find a job for the ones we're taking the job away from. The stability of the society. We are prepared to put that much into the society. The same thing goes with your cars. When you buy a car unit, today we offer 2 different units. One is a car unit, one is an energy unit. Each one has the same condition. You got to realize something very important. This is going to come to you when you arrive within a short time. The road structure will become irrelevant in the coming years, because cars in hovering, even a small distance from the ground, will not use the road. So the road maintenance, what is a major part of the infrastructure, will disappear. Grass will grow, the frame will be there, but it will become like Africa. Unless you want to pay for it to be there for your structure. As you heard yesterday, Alex tells you his wheel feels very easy. It's an old car, he could feel it. Has no hydraulic steering. So the changes are on the way. We see it coming, we know it's there, and you have to be prepared for totality, not just the free energy. The free energy is the noose on the neck of human race if you do not do it the right way. Brother will kill brother, father will kill children because had to be free. You didn't pay what it was supposed to be done. I'm sick, I'm dying, you stole from me. Because from now on, we stay correct the way it is. I've been asked, can we pay our 20% taxes to the foundation? You negotiate with the government. If it comes to, we will do. As I said, I built the system. I explained this earlier on. 70% taxes is too much because 50% of industry is black. 20% taxes is correct because 100% will be white. %70 of half, you still don't get nothing because you can't reinvest back. 20% is total investment in humanity in the schools. So we have to restructure with what is available. Don't forget, you buy a car, there are no more taxes on the fuel. We heard what Alex said yesterday. He's tanked a quarter of a tank in March, where he usually tanks every 3 weeks, and he still got a quarter. Oil industry has literally walked into an end. They abused it so much, now they have to stand it themselves. But the problem with it is, the oil industry is your family and friend and nation which was supporting it. So there is an evolution beyond man's imagination since yesterday. We opened the door. This is part of the push for universal peace. If we can agree and come to a conclusion very rapidly, the governments will find out in the next few days how people, we're waiting for people to announce they copied, is in there. We've seen a surge in the purchase on the Cash Foundation shop in the past 48 hours, in 24 hours, because we're monitoring what is going on. And we are nothing compared to what people are doing privately at home. We've seen a huge surge since we put the reactors up for sale 25, 48 hours ago. So people are there to test it. People are there taking the next step to move, and in the coming weeks, we expect a huge demand. We are preparing to meet it. How far we can meet it means collectively. In the coming days, in the coming hours, we will release the blue pattern, the print of all the systems worldwide, the way we did with everything else we've done, which means you don't need for Italy to build it, you build it in your nation. And it's a blueprint. It means it's there exactly how it should be. We've done it with the patents, the blueprints. The Cash Foundation supporters will make it. Will be headed by Alex, because he knows what to do. We have other people in the background already put the information in detail on the internet. We make a video exactly how to be done. People can do it. You want to order it. Cash Foundation is there. World Cash Foundations, other commercial people see it, they jump on it. Then we expect the same thing back. Put the money back in the Cash Foundation in your nation to research, to develop more. We don't make Bill Gates anymore. Bill Gates are human beings. When they become rich, they become criminals because they think as their right. This time, no criminals. We do it collectively, and the Cash Foundations around the world have to follow the same thing. There is one thing. My command is my wish. Anybody goes out of line, look what happens to your children, your house, your wife, and the rest. Because you're stolen, you have to pay back. It's not by fear. You take from the soul, you pay with the soul. So you are in a position of the control. Understand the change of the structure. The biggest problem for humanity from the day he gathered intelligence was how to keep warm and how to keep food. We tamed the rice, wheat to what we wanted. We tamed the animals because they're all pack of plasmas. Now we have found the secret of plasma in a very simple system. What's next? So the changes are beyond your imagination today, but in the coming weeks and days, you will see if a number of people push and they don't do it the correct way, you will see riots. Because people will have the energy. What about the food? People will have the food. What about the hospitals I'm sick? People will have the hospitals. What about the police force when they take my things? So I have not freed you. I put you in the course of total anarchy, unless you decide to control yourselves. This is not a freedom unit. This is a noose around your neck. You decide how tight you want to make it. Free energy. You want to make water? Very easy. Create condensation. In a coming time, what we did in China regarding CO2, Alex has done a different way. Other people are doing a different way. Your water, your food, your medicine will be totally free in your hand, in your house. But not all of you are 18 years old. Not all of you are educated. Not all of you can educate the next children, otherwise they become like centuries ago, illiterate. The schools has to be there. The new ethos has to be there. And in fact, I have put you in the shackle of your own conscience than in the courts and governments. You want gold? Free energy. Make as much gold as you like. Don't forget, the more you take, the more you give. The more you give, the more you take. So the system is not energy anymore. The system is not to give you a free run. Actually, I have given you a gun in your hands. Now you decide when you're going to shoot the trigger. The trigger won't be tomorrow, because if you're in your 30s, you're healthy. The trigger comes when you are 60, 70, and there is no hospital because you never participated in it. The time has to come now that people walk into the places and put the money on the table. This is what I can contribute. Not governments like Italy, police force for taxes. In Italy, people are scared of breathing because the taxman might say you breathe too much. Correct? So you police yourself, you get policed very easy. When it comes down the line, when you have 30s, you have children and there are no schools. And these things is not history. It will happen so rapidly that you will not understand. If we sell 1 million units of energy unit in the next year, which I think is very, very conservative, it will run into millions. Italians will run for it. What's going to happen? No tax income from fuel, no tax income from energy. The biggest tax earners for your country. I tell you something, it's a part of experience in my lifetime. When I was about 14, we received the message, leave Tehran, the time will come that the roads and the streets of Tehran will be running with blood. leave before the time comes. And we said, what a joke. 3 years later, the streets of Tehran was full of blood. The revolution came out of disgrace of the nation, betrayed by the others. I warn you the same. If you do not go the right way, you start eating each other. You go to a farm, it's free, I can fly in, take what I like, you go with somebody else's asset. People will start murdering each other out of what they can't have. The free energy cannot feed you. So I tell you a piece of advice. 1975, we had a warning. 1979, we received it. People were prepared to give sacks of money. They stole whatever they did to just get out of Iran. There was no road. There was no passage. And this is going to happen to you. This is a war. You do it to each other. Nobody will do it. No government will do it to each other. So understand, warning was 4 years. Your warning is 4 months. If you don't get it right within 4 or 5 months and people start putting energy out and don't pay taxes, government every night counts how much is collected that they can spend. Nothing to collect, no wages paid. In communist countries, even today, some doctors in hospitals haven't been paid for months because government doesn't have money. But the doctor goes to the hospital because one day they pay me. Dr. Elia Kostova said to us once, people come and they give me an orange because they have no money. I get people coming to me for my systems and they gave me a basket of nuts. That's all I can afford. Would you help me? Of course. So you got to structure it that people don't give you orange, but they give from the soul and what they have. It's not time of communist time to share. In Italy today, the situation is so bad. In Italy today, I take you 50 meters from where I live in a 4-star hotel. The staff have not been paid their January wages, sorry, their Christmas wages yet. And we are in June. In the most advanced nation, top 7 nations in the world, on paper. Today in Italy, I don't go any further. I take you to see the staff of the 4-star hotel. The hotel doesn't have money. We call it in English, where is the Englishman? Fair coats and no knickers. There is nothing underneath. The structure is falling apart and is kept. In government offices, it's not very far. This is all makeup ready to fall, the last sticks, and now we have introduced the last stick. The cookie is crumbling very fast. Huge prices of $1.40, $1.40 per liter. This is going to cost you, if you are correct, make your system pay your taxes to the government, nothing. Very, very little if you do. I heard, I think Rick told me this morning, I was telling you lot, that Tesla has offered a car, you can go and charge it and come home and charge your house with a Tesla battery. You have to buy a Tesla car to charge a Tesla battery. I don't know, $10,000, $15,000 total. Now, with less than $1,000, you do it at home, less than $50. You have everything for life. So I haven't given you a gift, and Alex wasn't brought here to give you a freedom. We have given you, we are the messengers of death. That's exactly what we do. We are messengers of death. We are Judas, you want whatever you call it, because now we kill the past is the beginning of a new. It's you decide how you kill yourself. We brought you the message of freedom, the energy, everything else. It's you who decide. Listen to the way I suggest, the way we advise. You'll walk a path of peace in a correct way. You walk the way you want to go. I would like to see how many of you will be part of this gutter blood. Because when you don't pay these kind of heavy taxes, governments don't have the money to spend on arms. They reschedule the arm business. They reschedule the wars they plan because there is nothing to do. Or they create war to kill as many that they don't have that much people to pay taxes for. But in a way, it's their own themselves. The option from yesterday has changed. You were happy you received a free energy system. But this is the chalice of poison. If you're a human, is a chalice of poison, will not harm you. If you're a cobra, which you got it from, you decide which way you're going to go. I have not given you a gift. I have given you a noose. It's you decide how you're going to hang yourself. Free energy, free fuel. Most probably, you can convert some of the energy to food, no taxes, and so many of you have been after this that now you got it. I promise you, if do not do it, out of 7 billion of you, at least 4 billion will be dead before we even bring the space industry out of your own greed against each other. You will kill each other because in time you will not have anything to support each other. So I brought you a gift. Eat from the cup. You enjoy it. Drink from the cup. You die. It's very simple. Depends. You choose it as a gas or you choose it as a gas. So sorry to tell you, I walked into a very big trap for over a year and a half, over 10 years, and now you're in it. Because enough people have listened, enough people have produced it, there are enough greedy people to make the system, and this is the end of humanity. You choose very, very carefully how you do it, the way you do it, and this time round, don't get it wrong. Start understanding what you've been given and start building around it that the noose has not much to create a fall. And if you fall, the heavier, the worse it will be. And if you've done enough heavy job, you fall much harder. Always remember, I was explaining this to somebody in the past few months, when they hung one of the Saddam Hussein family, they were expecting that there'll be hanging bodies. But unfortunately, He snapped his neck. They had two pieces. And they had to reconsider all the execution in Iraq because they saw a man in two pieces and his body was not ready for it. So don't get to the point that you have to change it because you can't understand it. Start the new cycle that there is no need for a news. I'm very straightforward. I warned you, and now it's on the table. All of you have been busy making the little wires and ganses, but very soon, the way we put it out, everybody will know how to do it. And if the top 1, 2, 3 million people put the thing in, the problem with you is if 1 million people in Italy make the system, the whole Italy of 70 million will have a free energy. You've seen it. So you still, by putting a system for yourself, you dismantle the society. Because the other 7 million don't need to pay. So now you understand. And we have played it so openly that, like a man in a greed, you just walked into the trap. Yesterday, you were happy lot you received free energy, free car supply. Today, you know, is a payday. Payday of your own soul, your own judgment, and your own behavior. And Cash Foundation will supply it with the greatest of the pleasure. I've already structured the system to be, because it's the right of every man to have a life without expectation of payment by the soul. So please make as many as you like. The more you make, the closer the news gets, unless you structure it correctly. Build one for your neighbor. Don't give it free to your neighbor. Say, these are the conditions. We open a special account for your own nations, monitored by you, how you pay taxes your own nation. 20% is acceptable. We monitor. We don't need a president with 2,000 entourage. Correct? This is one of the biggest cry in this country. There are millions unemployed, and the president has a 2,000 entourage. And entourage of the president at the moment, if you look, Italian man is happy what? With the manager of a shop, a restaurant, a cafe, he's happy to take home 900 euros a month, correct? Present your entourage, and now roughly, at least let's say 1,000 of them are on this payroll. In different form or shape, perks, backhander, whatever. How many of these can you put in there? You can job, you can feed 10,000 people with 1,000 entourage. Do we need leadership like this? Do we need mayors and councillors to have a huge wages to create more jobs for themselves? So Alex didn't come here to free you. Alex came here to shackle you with your own conscience. So what our Italian colleague says is that the president of Italy personally takes more money than the president of the United States. Much more. So you Americans have sold your presidents very cheap. You should become the president of Italy. So now you see the picture has changed since yesterday. A father gives a match to the child to learn how to make a fire, to make a barbecue, and a fire to warm himself. If he doesn't guide the child walks in the house, he burns the house down. So now I give you the match. Make a barbecue and enjoy a good fire, or burn the house down. It's all in your hand. So please understand and make as many systems as you like. But go to your community, say, I made a system, I think that's what you're right. Because if you don't do, then they start putting a hunter on you, hunting who's got the system to stop the block, because this mayor still like to have his 10,000 euro per month business. Cushy life is finished. And I advise you something, please do not give nothing to the church, to the mosque, to synagogue, because they've taken enough. And don't give it that priest to keep it for you, because it's already stolen enough from you, physically and from the soul. Organize yourself in a way that you're correct with the people and in your community. The change is so huge, you don't even understand what I'm telling you. But you will feel it very soon, because the greed of the man will bring man to the ground. So now, today, yesterday, we showed the electricity and emotion, and all of you are at it, building it, making it. A lot of people, as we heard, wins. Yes, it says, well, I start building, I'm doing it while I'm speaking. And how many people have listened, and how many people are going to repeat it? In a very short time, millions and millions and millions. And what is our friend is doing is going to Nigeria to teach people in Nigeria how to have a free energy. Do you know how many people in Nigeria, one of the richest oil nations in this world, die by the fire trying to get oil that they can have a fuel at home every year? I worked in Nigeria community, never lived there, but it's very strange. People go and cut into the pipelines to get oil. The biggest, richest nation on this world, the management, the leadership has stolen so much that at the bottom there is no wealth. People die. When these explode, hundreds die. He's from Nigeria, he can tell you. Huh? That's true. So now he teaches them a little system how to make. This man, when I got to know him a couple of years ago, he came to me in a very cheeky way. His way was, Mr. Cash, I'm from Barbet, where you went to college. I thought, oh, I have to see what he says. It's not that he's here, we got to know him just because he received the threat. Caroline has been watching his progress for a long time. We got a few people like this. We are monitoring. And he knows. And one of the things he's done, he can tell you himself, he's bought computers to go to Nigeria last year, a few months ago, to teach Nigerians how to do the GANs, how to do the system, and the computers to use it, that it creates its own energy, because there is no energy, because they steal the money. Nigerian oil leaves Nigeria officially at 120, but it's all owned by BP or Shell Oil in the back name. Locals get zero. If you want to know worse, Saudi Arabia charges $120, $130 per barrel. goes to British Kingdom, British monarchy. They own Saudi Arabia. So these things are going to finish because that guy doesn't need to do this, and nobody needs Saudi oil anymore. The situation is very simple. 1972, $2.5 a barrel was price of the oil. When the Shah of Iran made it 3.5 to 4, everywhere shouted this criminal act. Hospitals were stopped. People couldn't afford fuel. They brought us to such a point we are even happy with 130. It's the same oil from the same dinosaurs in the same place, the same cost. In a way, they've done it to you. Now you're free of the shackles of it. Free energy you have. And watch, while I've been talking, how much you've been putting in the grid. At the moment is 1.8 and it's still at 4. So you put 0.2 kilowatt more and everything is totally free. All the reactors are running on back of itself. So energy totally free. If you can, you don't need to. I can take this unit and go anywhere in the world. It is independent of the power supply now. You take this frame and walk anywhere you like. You're free. You have no problem in doing whatever you like to do. The only thing you're doing, we have a connection here to the main, which is there, and it's actually putting energy out. You're a supplier. And you're meeting all your demands, the light, the fan, and running the motors. So if you look at this frame and structure, we miniaturize it. You have a free energy and you feed yourself. So, my friends, you have walked in a very big trap. You were so greedy that your greed has brought you to your own death. It's you to choose how you're going to die or how you're going to survive and save your nation. Do we need one nation to dictate, or now the Africans will be free of energy, Europeans will be the same? You can have a boiling hot swimming pool in the middle of winter because the more you heat up the pool, the more energy you put outside. You have not felt it, but I know it because I experienced it for the first time when I was 17 years old. No, 15 years old. During the Shah's regime, the inequality was so huge. Where we lived, we were elite. Somehow, me and my cousins got trapped in a position unknown with the police involved, which we tried to get out of the situation. And you know what the policeman said to me? You are the rich boys. You already had our share. It's our turn. You give it to us or we take it from you. And I went home and I said to my dad, what's going on? He said, Mehran, this is the lifestyle you live. This is what they're going to do to you. The nations you robbed, they come and take it. Bring the equality the correct way, otherwise they're going to eat you up. You were stolen enough in the West. And if we show The free energy flight system is inevitable. Within matter of, I have to bring somebody else in a few days and put him where Alex sits with the free energy. Then you'll find millions of Chinese, million Indians who get born on the street and die on the street would like the luxury of your bedroom, madam. Are you prepared to give it? We've seen it in Iran. The revolution of Iran was the best example. People came to the house, they said, this is our house, you got 2 hours to live, otherwise you're against the regime, shot the child, the mother and the father in bed, threw the bed out, they are the owners of the present. Half of the Iranian regime hierarchy, this is how they lived and how they got their wealth from. People shot in bed because they lived in the luxury home. You think they're going to scare you? They're going to put you out. This is what they're going to do with you. I lived it. My family lived it. Now it's your turn with the free energy. Correct it very quick. Otherwise, you don't know what you've done to yourself. So walk the path. You got the free energy. I had to go to the life of revolution to understand what I tell you what's going to happen to you is the first experience. So sort this out very quickly because now even the Nigerians know how to watch and how to make free energy. Do you know why? How many Nigerian friends do you have in north of London? A lot of them. Have they been watching you yesterday presenting? So all the African in Nigeria know how to be free of energy. Correct? So your noose is there. It's how you're going to hang yourself. You understand exactly what you've done. So, and don't forget, I wrote to the African nations yesterday what is going to be shown the day before yesterday, that the shackles of freedom of Africa will come from one of their own sons. And they were proud to show it in past 24 hours. Oh boy, we got a lot coming. Because very soon, an African will fly before anybody in the West. They won't come in the boats. You have to give them a hand to save them off the sea the way it's happening now. They come with old cars with no windows which can fly in the center of New York and London and the rest. Mayhem has started. And don't forget, the most prolific scientists, one of the most beautiful scientists I know, they all come from Africa. I haven't seen an intelligent European scientist because here you're given the money to study like a horse. African man, when he goes to get a degree in America, he cleans the floor, he washes the toilet. I can show you a lot of them. They're friends of mine. They're professors now. But to get the doctorate and professorship, they would not be given anything except when if the knowledge was good, they robbed it of them. So they had to think while they were cleaning the toilet in diversity of the knowledge how they can save themselves. And now they're back. So your biggest nightmare, it comes because you can't control them anymore. I am in a way glad to tell you what is to come. You have a time. Now, do you want to know about the health? Vince, Rick, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Rick, is the thing for the reactors ready yet, or how far are we before it goes on the shop?
I'll have to check on the Skype conversation on that. Let's have a look.
Do you think it'll be completed by today?
That's difficult to say.
It'll be done by Monday?
I would think so.
Okay. So by Monday, anybody around the world can have a pre-system if they can't make it themselves. So you see, I don't talk. It's getting done. We already start setting up the factories, development here in Italy for Monday, Tuesday. Am I correct? So the clock is not going to stop. Please think, I did not give you a freedom of energy. I gave you a bullet, golden bullet. It depends when you want to shoot it. So now, can we go on the medical application, or do you want to do about the food? Up to you. You brought all the crisis. I had a happy classroom. Take your place. Teach us. Teach us about the food. What?
Messenger. Messenger.
What's the messenger?
Messenger. You know the one where you put the ice and cube in it and then have ready for jam.
Ah, we want the icing jar. We gotta wait. Marco. Oh, there we are. This you want.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, that's no problem. There goes my pen container. Armin, before you start, can you bring your system? We're going to show you something, how close parallel people work. These are double wall ice containers. It's transparent. Can you come close to see? If you see it, it has two walls. The thickness is covered with the two walls. So what we've done, we ran a number of experiments with this here in the center. This is, if you remember, you've seen this a few days ago, few weeks ago, when we brought the flowers from the opening of the institute. There were GANs in different layers in this to apply how you transfer energy into living things, how the flowers survive. Nearly what, 6 weeks after we opened up, they were still there. And the ones which had the water died fairly quickly after a couple of weeks. So then we have run a process with this, with almond, where instead of using the CO2 kit, excuse me, cameraman, instead of using the CO2 kit the way we used to with collecting, Arman has put the copper and the zinc oxide in the gap. You can put different kind of material in there, gases. And if you go further, yesterday I explained to you how you can use the cup with the beads and fill it with the water and drink it. So you can process these as very much the cups of the future for food, for energy, for medicine. In fact, if you look at it, our Chinese friends showed the use of this in a different way. They put a cup in the middle, they put amino acid, CO2, and the rest, and the watermelon. So now that was the container. You can do this with these kind of things. The top comes off, you can fill in the center, you can do it with anything. And this is what you're asking for, yeah?
Yeah.
He uses this to create food at home. And how long have you been doing this? Speak louder.
I can't remember now. It's been a long time I've been working on this.
1 week, 2 weeks?
Oh no, it's more than
6, 7 weeks?
Yeah, about 6, 7
So 6, 7 weeks.
even more than that, Mr. Kesh. I'm sure more than that.
How long? 2 months, 3 months,
Yeah,
4
about-
months? 3 months. I showed you the mechanical version of this with the magnets in respect to the health. Now you can find the combination of the food you like, the energy it gives you. You don't touch the gans, you drink the water. You receive your 1,600 calorie a day or 2,500 calorie a day, because it's the energy which transfers in your body given to your lymph, and then lymph decides how to cut it. So you got to watch. There is a warning I kill you, and this is important. Please do not use copper oxide as part of the gans. This is a warning. I'll explain to you later on. If you want to know the reason, is because the copper is part of the neurosystem of your muscles. With the oxide, CuCO or CO2 extracts energy. This is how your body converts to CO2 to release the energy from the muscles into your veins. So never use copper oxide as a gans in your systems, because it touches the muscle tissue and the neurosystem, and then it can cause you death. So if you want to die, you're quite welcome. Add a copper oxide. I tell you what happened. Last year, I've explained this, but some of you might have forgotten, is that we did an experiment in the Sensano. You all know about this, and I've reported it during the summertime. We had the frogs in 2 boxes. How many? We had 5 in each. We picked it up from the cover of the swimming pool of their house. After a while, they died. 1 or 2 died. This was the CO2 and CuO or CuO2 was not put in. This was the normal water from the pool. We gave CO2 to this, and the frog grew up, but as you remember, I reported some abnormalities. We were testing for Fukushima. The authorities in Tokyo wanted to know certain results, if we can use it in the sea, or we can use it, decontamination of the cancer. When I added CuO or CuO2, within minutes, the energy was thrown, the frogs died. Because it extracts energy, it's heavier than the, remember this, how it works. This is your amino acid, 12, 1, 16, 14, 30, 43. CuO2, 60 plus 32. The gravitational field, number of carbons, number of things are much higher. So it takes 10 years. You see, this is what Arman has made in a dynamic form, a CO2 nano-coated, no, copper nano-coated, and a zinc creating CO2. This is a free energy cup. You can drink from this as much as you like. You can put a bottle of water in and drink it. You want to get high with energy, fill it up with CH3. So, goodbye. I hope you can explain well.
So, okay. I think it's almost the same thing I've got.
Pardon?
Well, I said, I think,
We got a problem with you. You're not a very good loud speaker.
don't
You have to
articulate.
loud because they have a problem hearing you.
All right then.
Okay?
So what I'm saying is, I
You
think
got to understand. Your voice has got to be over the motors.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. My system is almost the same configuration as this, just that I did not add the
plates.
the plates in the configuration. What I did is I added CO2. No, first of all, I made
Can I ask you a question?
yeah.
Before you go any further, you keep on going straight away into showing things. Explain why and how you came to a conclusion and what you do. Why did you ever try to decide to do this?
Because I observed that the plasma that interacts here, if you get the ganses, it can play the same role as that if you put it here without the matter.
Mhm.
So I decided to make the ganses instead of the matter and put it in a core, which is going to give me the same effect. But what I did further was that the CO2 that I used, I added I used the strength of any food. I mean, because I have a lot of containers. I have like 4 or 5 containers that I use different strengths of CO2. When I mean strengths of CO2 is that if you have this system, for instance, I mean, if this is a gas producing system,
Yeah.
if you put banana on top of it,
A banana.
a banana on top of it,
Yeah.
you get the gases. Well, you get the gases of CO2 and then the strength of banana that comes in. So what I do is, and then you can actually see it because you see the color of the banana. I mean, the white CO2 has changed to the color of the banana or any food you decide to put in it. So I took this.
No. Explain. Explain.
Yeah.
What happened with the banana? Did you put a banana in the cup?
No, I just placed it on top.
You placed it on
so
top.
that the feeds interacts with the feeds.
When did you do this?
Huh?
When did you do this?
I've been doing this forever.
For 3-4 months.
More than that, because I have different kinds of ganses.
So what happened? You see, this is interesting because we saw this with the Chinese 2 weeks ago. He's already weeks ahead of Chinese. Months ahead of Chinese.
I've been doing that.
So
forever.
now you see, we saw with the Chinese. Yes.
Thank you.
How do you do it? Can you explain again? You put the banana on the top.
It could be any fruit. I mean, let's assume I use banana. I put banana on top of the configuration of the CO2 set. Not in the mason jar, but in the normal CO2 box. I created, just a minute, let me get this. This is my CO2 set, the configuration. So anything you put on top, could be poison or anything, is going to be attracted into the box. So in my case, I put fruits like banana. So when the when the ganses comes into at the bottom of the pot, I extract the ganses and wash them, and then I fill them up at the outer layer of the no, the inner core of the mason jar, and then I take just ordinary CH3, I put it in the tube, put CH3 in the tube, and then I attach one here or one here, depends. Sometimes I could attach copper, yeah, CO2 and then CH3 in different positions, and then I put water in the inner core of the mason jar. And I discovered that when you drink from the water, no, it's not finished. If I want to put CO2 here and then I put CH3 here, if I want to have, for instance, I want to eat yams or potatoes or something, if I put potatoes on top of it, and then after a couple of minutes I drink from the water, you can feel the strength or the taste of potato in your body throughout the day. This is not something that is going to be for 5 minutes. Throughout the day, if you put if for instance you put like apple on top, you're going to feel the sweetness of apple and the taste of apple throughout the day, and then you get the strength as well. But you're not going to get hungry instantly, but with time you're going to start getting hungry. The hunger doesn't go forever. After about a couple of hours, you start getting hungry if you drink from that water. So you have to drink from the water all the time if you want to keep up. If you want to keep up your if you want to scare off your starvation, you have to drink from the water all the time. What I do is in the morning when I wake up, I drink a cup. Depends on what I want to eat. If I place the object there, I give it a couple of minutes, and then I take a cup. No, I don't take a cup. I drink from the mason jar, because according to Mr. Kesh, when you drink from the jar, you transferring the energy. You in contact with the fields of the configuration, so you're transferring the energy directly into your body as soon as you touch your lips touch the mason jar. Is that correct? Yeah, yeah, nano-coated my jars. All my jars
Inside or outside?
Well, I don't know about the inner core, but I just nano-coated everything in the container.
He's worse than you are, man. He nano-coats everything. You don't move, you're nano-coated.
Yeah, of course, you have to do. So, whatever you want to eat. And then I've gone a step further. You know, I'm a very traditional herbalist. So, and I know a lot of herbs about the Africans, the way of treating themselves and so on. And then there are some herbs that I brought from Africa while I went on holidays the last time. Some of them, they can cure fever and whatever malady you have. For instance, if you have dysentery, there's some herbs you can just take and wash and then drink the water, and then your dysentery goes. There's one they call bitter leaf. It's one of the things you can cook with at home, and in most cases, people cook with it they include it in their recipes every day. So what I did is in the configuration, when I put the bitter leaf on top of the set and drank of the water, the results that you get from taking a normal bitter leaf, you still get it exactly, because when you drink the washed bitter leaf, what happens to you is you're going to have running stomach. And when I drank from the configuration that had bitter leaf in it, that was what happened to me. I had running stomach. So then that was the first experiment I did that made me have a conclusion that anything you put on top of this set is going to give you exactly the matter form of it. I'm at the right path. Okay, all right. So, and then there's another herb I tried as well. They call moringa. Moringa is an African plant. Well, it's a tropical plant that is very good for. Well, most people use it for losing weight and so on. And then I hear it can detox you. So what I did is I did the same thing with moringa, and I drank it, and I actually felt what I was supposed to feel if I've taken the moringa in the matter form and eat it. So I concluded that if you want to eat, if you can make a configuration like this, just put your food, any kind of food. It could be chicken and chips. It could be anything. If you put it on top, that is what you get in the water. And then if you drink the water, you don't have to buy no food. You don't have to do nothing because the energy in it is enough for you to live for a couple of hours, not throughout the day, but for a couple of hours. And then if you want, you can go back and drink or go eat something else. Is that all right?
So your CO2 is inside this
At the outer,
layer,
yeah, at the outer core.
outer core,
Yeah,
and then you
it's just water.
miss a trick.
No,
You
no,
wanna-
no, listen, it's not finished. I added amino acid from two.
Ah, you see?
Yeah, two. Sorry, I got lost there. I added amino, well, in the CH3 and then the CO2 that I put in both sides of the container, I added amino acids from two different sources because you told me that long time ago in the workshop. I added amino acid from two
Actually, I'm
different
talking in workshops, huh?
because I listen to you a lot. So I added two different two amino acids. No, I added amino acids from two different plates. Like if you make your CO2 gases, the amino acid that stays on top, I took one from one container and then the next from one container. I added it here, and then the same thing I added at the inner core of the messenger. So you have amino acid and then the strength of whatever fruit in the CO2 you have in it, and then the same way you have the CO2 and then the CH3 that has amino acid in it, which means you can have all the energy and then all the nutrients you have in the water.
You go too fast.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right, you have to do a replay then.
No, no. I do the translation of knowledge.
All right then.
We go very slow.
Okay.
You produce CO2
Yeah.
in there.
Mm-hmm.
You put learn. You have to go like this to keep them quiet. Practice.
All right.
Do it. It's good.
Come on, guys. I'm not there yet. Don't worry.
It's the African beat. Do that to them. That'll be easier.
Okay.
Now, we're going to go from the beginning. You make your CO2.
Yeah.
Then you take the CO2
Mm-hmm.
and you put it in here.
Yeah.
And then
I got amino acid.
you add amino acid into this water, into the core.
Yeah, where the CO2
We're talking only about the core. We're not talking about the drinking. So you put that in between the two, and you put the CO2 gans
Yeah.
plus the amino acids.
Yeah.
And then you
Fill
a tube,
with CO2 and CH3, not in the same tube, different tubes.
CO2 in one, and a CH3
In the next one.
in the next one. So it has 2 ears.
Exactly.
And then what do you do?
And then I put anything I want to eat. I put water in it.
You put water in it
And then I put anything I want to eat on top, or any medications I want on top.
on top.
On top, just on top there.
And
not,
then?
not touching the water. And then I leave it in a cup. Yeah.
How long?
How long? Well, I discovered that you don't have to keep it for too long, because if you keep it for too long, I think it absorbs too much feed from the environment, and then it's going to taste not as good as if you keep it for a couple of minutes, like maybe.
It's a fresh banana.
Yeah.
So there is nothing else in this.
Nothing, just the CO2.
CO2.
And
So
then,
you said you put a fruit there.
Yeah.
And then?
You get the ganses of the fruit, the same color.
Gans of the fruit, the same color as the
same
fruit.
Color as the fruit. Yeah, I've tried all kinds of.
So your CO2 becomes green.
It depends on what fruit you put.
If it was a mint.
And yeah, if it's mint, it's green. If it's red pepper, it's red. If it's banana, it's lemon. It's lemon, same lemon. Yeah. And then if it's turmeric, it's the color of turmeric, yellow.
And then you put that in here too.
Yeah, I put it in there.
So if I put beef there, I have a beef in here.
Most probably, yeah. I've not tried beef, but I'm sure you're gonna put beef. I've made the ganses of beef.
You made the gans of beef.
Yeah, and fish
You
as
have
well.
never and fish.
Yeah.
So now you're eating fish and meat and everything together.
I eat everything at home.
Milk?
I've not tried. I've tried hemp milk. I put hemp milk on top of the configuration, not the ganses of it. I put hemp milk because I use hemp milk. I don't drink dairy product. So I put hemp milk on top of it, and then I drink the water.
The same.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you put medicine, you
Yeah,
get the medicine.
if you put medicine, you get medicine. There's something I put that I can tell you that is going to give you the same thing as a product as well.
So how long do you last with it?
How long I last with it?
Yeah, how long do you have the energy?
The energy is there forever, but you have the sensation to eat sometimes. But it's not that you're hungry, but the body, I think the mouth needs to chew. That is just it.
We know that. We know that from years ago. So if I give you something which has no energy to chew, would you still be able to go?
I don't understand that.
If I give you you did it with that, I did it with look. So I know how to transport something. You are physical, I am through the soul. So if you have medicine from Africa,
Yeah, it helps.
okay, you have a diarrhea. If you drink the water, the diarrhea stops.
Yeah.
So it doesn't transfer only the
Energy.
it transfers the information.
Now you're telling me.
Because all you do is transfer information according to energy level. Now, how much does it cost?
The messenger is about £2, and that's all.
You can put one bucket inside another.
Yeah.
You can feed the whole family.
Yeah, that's how I started. I used them.
Now I tell you about the Jewish guy. A Jewish guy had children. He put a jar of cheese in a cupboard, glass cupboard, and locked it. And every morning he brought it out. He gave a piece of bread to his children and said, just rub it on the thing, because he didn't want to buy cheese every day. So the children every day came and they rubbed the bread on the thing, so they had a cheese and bread, went to school. One day he had to go to synagogue. He didn't come on time. When he got in the house, the children were rubbing the bread on the lock of the cupboard. So to get the energy from the cheese, because the cheese box was in the cupboard lock. Because the father thought when it's locked, they can't touch it. Huh? So they eat from it. So you become a Jewish guy. I can tell you a lot of Jewish jokes because I'm half Jewish. I know everything. Maybe. Depends where he came from. Are you Jewish? So what do you do? We had this experience with a girl in Belgium 5 or 6 years ago. I fed through the water, and after 4 or 5 days, she said, I want something to chew. We had to give her a banana because the urge of chewing. I've said this before. So what it is you can transfer all the energy you like across. One of the ways to do it more effectively is try to use different kind of amino acid when you add to it. Because amino acid is a fat for the plant, amino acid for beef, amino acid for wheat, they're all different. You have to give to your body a spectrum of energies. Because with it, you cover all of it. One of the reasons you feel hungry because you do not satisfy the full spectrum. So what you got to do? You do mono instead of doing totality. We need some very little and some a lot of. So when you make these kind of things and you like to eat or drink from it, you have to give enough spectrum of materials in different fields that you at least cover 2/3 of your daily need in the energy spectrum. Because then you feel emotionally what is short and goes by the expectation of emotion. That's why you keep on going to McDonald's, because they have created a field with salt saturation that only that strength field is covered by the way they food in there. It's a magnetic plasmatic emotion they create inside you that you look for matching all the time. When you match, you're done. That's why you keep on eating the same food. Because when we eat food, we satisfy the emotional in respect to physical. So when you make anything like this, you have to satisfy the emotion with it. Otherwise, physicality is not fed. You're sad, emotionally down, you don't feel like eating. You discard certain field strength, but you still get hungry. So what you got to do when you make these cups, make sure you have a mixture of amino acids. Make sure you cover the basic daily need. And if you don't know what to do, place it in the center of the lid. Put your hand, Italians, next time, 2 credit cards. You can add your amino acid like your blood, and this is the key to what I tell you. If you, and when you add the blood into it, you satisfy the emotion, but if you can add lymph to it, you satisfy the physicality. So in this container, to your standard, this is for you, not for your child, not for your husband. If you add the lymph, you know what? How you get the lymph when you cut your skin, you get a white thingy coming out. That's good enough. Saliva is not as good as lymph because it's got specific things to the mouth, not to the stomach. Oh, they can show you people how to do. You need to get, if you can add a lymph, actually another way of lymph is your skin. You know, you wash yourself and the skin comes off. That's your lymph, but in a solid, in the nano state. That's what the lymph is. Your skin, it comes lymph and it becomes the skin and it goes. So your skin is a very good indication of your physicality. So what you do, you add a little bit of skin and a little bit of blood. You satisfy the emotion and the physicality in the cup in respect to yourself. Because your child, your husband, unfortunately about you, I don't know what he does, or your husband, or your wife, you better don't laugh. You got 3 of them at home. You don't stand any chance, Giovanni. So, You go hungry very soon. From now on, you go home, I come with my food. I don't know about you lot. So you add your skin or the lymph is the best and your own blood into this container. Then it gives a balance. But please, before you do it, make sure you don't have a cancer you put in blood. You keep on supporting the cancer. It comes with normality to it. So you put, now you understand you missed it. Why I ask for a blood test for every patient? Because I want to see what's the abnormality when I give it to them. So when you put water in, it absorbs the energy equal to what this blood cell and the lymph needs for itself. So it doesn't take any more because now you're giving it a fingerprint. The way you put the GANs here and you got the orange, now you dictate what the water to carry in respect to you. So you should not feel hungry for about 200 years if you do it the right way. As long as the cup is there. What do you think? You're going to last only 40 years. What are you asking? No, for the system. Oh, God. He has very naughty children. No hands up. You want to live 200? She wants to live 200 years old.
Mr. Cash, may I ask something?
Yes? Now you
There-
see, bankrupt
this-
the farmers too. Pardon?
So this is Modris from the Malta, and about the cup, which was like speaking in the Bible about the Holy Grail, and there is a
We
lot
can't
of.
hear you. Can you speak a bit louder, please?
Okay, I will try. I will try to speak louder. They were speaking about the cup, which they was calling the Holy Grail, which you was referring also a lot, and they will also was adding and saying about the urine, which example you can kind of pee in this cup, and then it's like you keep recycling your own water, like wells. Like there was a lot of sayings about how to say about the urine. It's like also part of the lymph, and it's recycled. It's purified because when it goes through your liver, it is cleansed. It's cleansed.
You
So
see, let me explain to you something. There are two sides to drinking your urine. Gandhi did every morning because it's already processed food. You don't need to spend energy to reprocess it. That's the only advantage with it. But
is it?
you got to realize the side effect of it, or something which you don't consider, is if it was good, why did the body reject it?
They're saying they didn't reject it.
No, no.
Well, it was like was over. It's like you eat too much.
Do you think so?
This is how I understand it.
Yes, your understanding is very wrong.
Sorry, that's why I'm here.
Yeah. No, no, you're not wrong, but you have to understand, not only surplus, but the wrong materials are rejected too. So you're
All
putting wrong back in there for your body to accept that's right again, and then you lead to a lot of problem. Mainly, it's psychological problem.
Okay.
Yes, you can ask a question. When you put water in the cup to, I have to speak your word because we don't have a mic. We don't have a microphone today, no? Can I give it to her? Oh, good. That's a different bit proposition. I don't know. A lot of people say when you cut yourself, piss on it, it'll be good, disinfects you. But you have to know why it does. They do. A lot of soldiers are taught one of the first things to do to protect themselves. I'm not answering your question. He does. He brought the problem. You hold it yourself.
When you put things on top of it for the information to be brought down into the water, could you put salt on top of it and then use that water for your CO to make your GANs with?
Put what?
Could, if you would put, if you were saying that you put food on and the
Yeah.
information is brought down
Must
into
be
the
very
water.
salty water.
Well, could you use that water then to make your GANs?
Maybe.
I mean,
You tried and let us know.
if we're up in space, where are we going to get our salt?
Oh, your blood.
Okay, well then,
But you went with your soul. You didn't take any physicality. How are you going to make the soul? That was a very deep question.
well, it
Do you
seems.
think you're going to have a red blood when you get to planet Zeus? We have no iron.
Oh no, I'm just saying if we're going to be, we need a salt solution water to make GANs.
So you want to put a gas in there to have a salt?
No, I want to make GANs. I need salt water.
So take salt with you.
What if I have only a
We don't
limited
have
supply
water,
of salt?
try it and let us know.
Okay.
Okay. That's why you're a student here and he's a teacher. So now, very bad, isn't it? He doesn't answer anything. It's not my problem, it's him. I'm just an assistant.
Mr. Kesh, may I ask another question, please?
Pardon?
May I ask another question, please?
Yes. Have you paid for your first question?
I will. So to create the GANs with already with let's say with banana, what about if we're making CO2 and we keep the banana on top, so we never need to use the fruit again, and so the GANs itself cares the property of the banana, and you just
That's
put
what
in
he
double
said.
wall.
You don't want to eat banana every day, he says.
Yeah, but you make many Ganses, so and then you choose which one you want.
Why not just make a set and
You
then
need
put
banana always. I don't want to use the fruits anymore. This
Okay,
is the point.
I tell you, so we're going to stop this somewhere else.
okay.
What I've done times ago is, I explained this to the knowledge seeker once. To measure the magnetic gravitational field of any entity, even the muscle, a bone, I used to stick the detectors inside the bone and see how much field comes out of them. Because then you get an indication of the strength of the bone marrow. You all seen these detectors we have. You don't know the things I've done to them. You don't want to know where they've been. Fruit, banana, bone marrow. I could get it, stick it in. I stuck it in to see the field strength. One of the strange things you see sometimes depends if you've done the transformation right. When you do the banana as a GANs, you stick the detector in a plastic, in the water. Sometimes, not all the time, you get the same field strength in the water. Even though you empty the water in another container and you measure it, which is here, because of the GANs of banana, it still has the same strength from the GANs, but outside it. Sometimes, because depends what the environment does. And this is what I always say to our volunteers, please, they say, can we empty the water from the container and take it to work? Yes, water is the water, but the information changes. So you have to realize the fundamental understanding. This is why you understand half of it and you don't understand the other half, is that in the matter state, you look for attraction. In a GANs state, you look for transfer of fields. This is exactly what your stomach does and your intestine. It transfers energy across the wall according to the content. So when you put materials in these containers, understand what you're doing. Work in a plasma state. Understand the interaction of the plasma. Then you find out that not all the molecules of the water can carry the magnetic field of the beef. Some do, and that some have to share with others. So you can make jam, steak, and everything else together and eat it, because you do not transfer all the information to all the cells. Some of the cells accept the energy because it's at their level. So in so many ways, you transfer the energy in a plasmatic form. And because this energy in plasmatic form is there for thousands of years, you can be away from Earth for 1,000 years and you still pick a cup up, you still will have the taste of banana and the energy of the banana. What you got to take a step further is what I went and what I explained to you about the wall and different colors. Now you understand how you can do it. There is a restaurant in the city of Ghent in Belgium by the canal, and it has a most beautiful toilet. Very interesting. You most probably seen it in other places. I haven't seen it somewhere else. It's the only place I know. And the door of the toilet is glass. You go in, I've seen so many people going in there, but it's a glass. You can't, because everybody sees you what you're doing. But there's a trick to it. If you turn the handle, suddenly gets smoked. Yeah, once you lock, it clicks on, creates a vapor. The way you do it is transparent. Go to Ghent. I advertise for Belgium. Go to Ghent, go to find a restaurant. It's very nice. It's got a lift inside, you go up. So what you do is the same. You switch and the energy you want is there. You switch it back, is not there. What he does, he puts pieces here. You create a base, you change today banana, tomorrow strawberry. So you have collection of banana, strawberry, and the rest with all the energy packed around it. Obviously. Are you sure? Thinking. Don't think too hard. It's not good for the brain. So this is what it does. And now you can live, if you do it the correct way, what is happening here in the system on the medical side, I showed you, I use magnet to hold the plasma. Now, you don't need a magnet to hold the plasma. In fact, in some reactors, I make the system, all you need to do, drop it in. Because it still is part of the GANs. Today is a strawberry, tomorrow is a banana. Because you don't eat, you still transfer information. And then you find out if you have put your own amino acid in it, it transfers to the level you need that day. You do not starve. You can carry on for months if you do it the correct way. As usual, I don't give everything till you do it yourself, and then you find a new way. So, in so many ways, You had your energy problem sorted. You had your fuels problem sorted. You had now your food is sorted. Now you had your medicine sorted also. I tell you something. It's double M. Medicine and materials. Because if you carry the information and you place it in the right place in your reactor, you can convert the gas to the material you want. So if you want a banana, you carry the information in plasmatic. Not only the water, you can have the physical banana too. A microphone, please.
The very important things at that some herbs during the process of preparation lose a grand part of a great part of property. In this way, it's possible to make alive with the herb. If you put the herb alive up
there?
Up, no,
Up there?
yes, we kept the property.
But the question is,
yeah.
If you have the herb, why you put it there, why you don't eat it?
Don't eat, yes, without it.
So the reason you do it is once you have it, you store its energy, its information. So don't forget, there is a very, very fundamental point to understand from the human behavior. A lot of us do not eat because we are hungry. We eat because we are thirsty. A lot of obesity does not come from hunger, comes from thirst. Because in food, we absorb the water we need. So we eat it, it's the wrong information. You find out there are technologies, there are knowledges where when you're hungry, you drink water, the hunger goes. The question for you to ask is this what happens on psychologically because you think there was a banana in there? You got a banana. Did you carry just the odor or do you carry the energy? And all I heard up to now is you're a bit missing to carry the energy. No, it's no odor, it's just a smell. Because you get the smell of banana, you feel you had a banana. But there is a process that you have to do to get the physical energy of banana out of banana, record it, and be able to transfer it. How does your body craves for banana? I want a banana, I want a banana, I want a banana, I want a banana. If you never had a banana, you don't know what a banana is. Because your body registers two things, the GANs and the emotion. The smell is your emotion because you breathe it through your lung. Even the water passes your tongue, you inhale part of it. You satisfy the emotion, but you have to get in the physicality. If you were a tree, it would have been fine, but you're not a tree. Look for a process which you can carry the energy, not just the odor. This carries very little. What he said, listen very carefully. to what he says. You missed a vital point. After a couple of hours, I'm hungry. Yeah? Because you only satisfy the thirst. Because if you satisfy the hunger, you're not hungry. So the thirst is the emotion. The gas you need to transfer energy. So we need to find a way to, and don't forget, because you drank the water, you already received some material, and in the water there is some energy as a food. I gave you a hint how to do it yesterday, but you didn't hear. Even this morning I gave you a hint, you didn't hear. When is 1.9, I think, or 1.8, 1.9? I think it's going to become zero very soon, too. Can you see it? I didn't come here for this. Stop distracting cameraman. I came here to show you how you gain food. Remember your loop? You remember your double loop? What is food? It's gravitational. You hold energy, you receive energy. So you have to create energy field in your inner loop that it brings the energy into the water. If you look in the future, you'll open some of my cups. You better understand some of it. I give and I take what I need, what I don't want, and at the same time, I keep a balance. In your cup, you give energy, North Pole, you put the South Pole on this side. If the size of your North Pole giving is bigger than your South Pole taking, you lose energy because this chap has to find it from somewhere. And if you give so much and make it very tight entrance, the energy stays. So you add to it. You create gravitation where the traffic jam cannot go very far. So when you're doing from my cup, you receive the energy you can't produce in your body. So
We just lost the audio there, Mr. Kesh.
can I go? Yeah. It wasn't
Yeah.
my unit, it's the cameraman. He ran out of battery. So now you understand the process. If you go back in what I said yesterday, and I go back on it again and rub it off, is beads, beads, beads. You can put pipe. Yeah, you can put a pipe, but these are the beads he makes. The combination he made. You make it that it fits. But you have to understand what this bead does. How you connect it in respect. You take from it, or you put in it, and then the same. And then you can do what it is, the totality, the emotion. So you need to create gravitation that it holds on enough to energy that can add to. If you got a leakage and you don't add any to it, doesn't do anything. So you got to understand the totality of how the system works. That's why we eat food, because we put in what we need, we create a block, and then we slowly digest it. Don't forget the principle of the magnets. The magnets position themselves to the distance where they are comfortable. If you bring them too much, there's a field force, so it has to push. There's the energy. That energy creates motion and it pushes the other magnet away. So understand how you do it, the reason you do it, and that's why he says after a couple of hours, he repeated it 3 or 4 times. None of you picked on it because he only satisfied the emotion with a standard water. But if you create a condition of gravitation in here, then you attract energy equal to what you need. This is why up to now you feel the hunger. Because with the blood you satisfy the emotion. Now you put your skin, you satisfy the physicality. You create gravitational magnetic field. Now the skin of the man will worth a lot of money. Don't take my skin. Next time when you go to someone says, "Can I have some skin?" It's, no, not mine. I need it myself. You know the terminology? In America, it says, "Can I have some skin?" So your skin is your lymph. It's one of these. It doesn't fulfill because it already changed most of its characteristics. So you can feed yourself the amount you need. Or the easiest way is put your finger in it and put it inside. It tells you what I need. It's then you create a aura of it. In most of the time, I tell my patients, simple thing, hold the cup. Or hold the cup like this. Because what I need is already transferred, and what I don't need, I already taken from the cup. Cup of life. This is my blood. This is my body. This is called the Holy Grail of Science. Pardon? The seed. Still the same. You carry the information. Depends how big is the seed. If it's a banana seed, or is it a coconut seed or a mango seed? Of course they do.
Mr. Cash, can I ask you something? Can you
My
use
God, Kevin Davina, have you paid your
one
fee,
question of the
boy?
week? No, it's one
Ask your question for this week.
Okay, I'll have to make it. Okay, I'll make it two then.
Okay, no problem.
Can I use that energized water as a so-called fuel in the reactor set in the star formation which you have set up?
Yes, you can, but be careful. This way, you're going to step further, so I teach you. It means you must have thought about it. If you do this, you can feed all the energies you need in your life. But don't forget what I warned you of, don't put the protein in, because then you can create germs in your reactors. This is one of the ways to do it without creating any diseases. You carry the information, but not the protein in the reactor. You don't need it. Add it to the water, take the water, the gans of it, and put it in the reactor. And then you can have a banana, anything. Every time you pass, if you're short of banana, you get a banana. If I put a reactor in there, banana, everything I need, this is your multi-tablet system now. You know, you go and get a multi-tablet vitamins, vitamin C, A, B, C, whatever. If you put your skin and vitamins in there, every time if it's short in liver, exactly in liver. If it's short in the brain, exactly in the brain. Because the calcium, let's say in liver, is different than the calcium in the, let's say, lung or in your leg. I have tried something which a lot of you might be, you don't understand to the extent of it, some of you might do. We're running this test now in Germany. So what it is, you heard of the bone marrow transplant? Pardon? If you understand what it is, and if you can put a gans of a perfect match, transfer it to the gans, and then put it around the bone of the person who needs it, you don't need a transplant. Do you understand? I am the match of your bone marrow. Yeah? Oh my God. Good morning. The mascot walks in. That way, around the back. Yeah. Come on, that way. Just because she's married, she can walk all over. That way. And she brings a bite, huh? The sweetie, the dog. So what I can do, you see, I create a gas. Rubinjan, please. I create a gas in a tube. Give me your finger. I put this around your finger. So the GANs now carries the information of your bone marrow strength, is my match. I take this away, I put it on mine, I receive the information in the GANs. Instant. There is no need for bone marrow transplant anymore. Good morning. Bone marrow is a GANs. How come you don't extend your knowledge? You can do it here when it comes to bone marrow, you don't do it? Sit down, you're a naughty child. So, sit down, please. So, what happens? Now you understand why we don't let you in as a student. Sit down. You're disturbing. You three are worse. Four of you, you're enough for a whole government. So, what happens? You put the gas in here, you transferred it. But now you do the same thing. You can even put your hand on this and transfer the information into the CO2. This is what we done with the cancer patient who was here last week. Good morning. You don't need to transfer. That's why you made the CO2 yes last week. Be fine. which one is the weakness, where is the strength, what matches. The information by putting the hand in is already transferred. And yesterday we call, they say the guy is changing. 3 days. They see it with electronic system monitoring. We don't know how correct it is. If it's Francois, are you online? Is Francois online from Canada? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Because now,
Yes, Francois. Yeah, there.
Yes, I am.
hi, Francois. Here he is. Okay. Francois, this is a live and you're part of the what it is. Can you put the green one down, please? Just put the screen down. You told, can you explain to us what happened with your patient?
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
What have you seen the change since Monday?
well, all the numbers of from the SKIO is starting to get better. And what I notice, especially when I change my protocol to treat every single vertebrae on his spine, and it's very quick. Only one shot, and it's get already at 100% for most of them. So before I used to take many shots before I succeeded. So that's what I noticed. That's very different. And the guys feel pretty well. And he went to Toronto and back and came back here and was fresh as he's just wake up.
So you see physical data difference.
Yep. I think he's on his way.
You remember us putting his hand in the liquid to measure?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
this is what you do. Thank you very much, Francois. So this is what you do. You transfer the information. The body tells you what it is. With a system, you measure it. It's good for the body. If it is, with the systems which is now getting developed by Francois, and will come back here in a month's time with the further development, you can eradicate cancer in a few days, in a few weeks. You can do the same with the bone marrow. What does this mean? It means you go on a finger, on a bone marrow, on the strength where the disease is, where the weakness is. You got to remember that every bone creates a specific bone marrow as part of immune system. Even the little bone at the tip of your finger creates a bone marrow for this region. That's why it's there. That's why our body has created a bone structure. So every vertebra you have, every single disc you have, if you look at the disc structure, it's not just that your bone marrow is created in your different part of the body. It's every bone, every vertebra creates its own bone marrow for protection of the nerve and the cartilage around it. And different shape and different size create different bone marrow. Because you can't ship everything all the time to fit everywhere. Bone structure is part of the immunization system channel, localized. So you do the same. This is very much composite of different, but if I go to your femur, it's more homogeneous, everybody is included. Because when this is short, it comes from here. What do? Don't forget that the head of your femur is nanolayer magnetic field, because up to here, all the bone marrow is the same. You want to replicate this field. It's the nanomaterial structure. This is one of the reasons I go back and I especially try to explain to you what I see is wrong, and Keshe Foundation deliberately and specifically keeps itself clear from this point. I heard and I see people who are asking for these acupuncture needles, which was done by Dr. Kostova for seeing that it can be done, and then it was shown to for the colors of the matter. Let me explain to you something very easy. I warned before of the danger of this. Now, did you take the picture? I can bring you pictures to see. You have to understand the process. You understood this, how fields go on next to each other. In acupuncture, you put a number of needles in the skin of the man, depending where you want it to be. Doesn't matter, the head to toe, you put whatever you put. In some practices, they connect the needles to impulses of current or to heat. Up to now, you're dealing with matter state, is the way it goes. When you nanocoat, you're dealing with energies. And what happens if one of these needles touches a nerve, intrudes in the blood, and you know how energy from one base transferred to another? Energy transfer becomes rapid, you touch the nerve, you touch the blood, brain hemorrhage, stroke is inevitable. If somebody get a needle punch with a nano-coated head, not only the problem is here, if you enter, you deliver such a huge power into the neural system, it's like an electric shock. But because you're in the nerve, you had it. I warn Dr. Kostova, you're taking a very high risk game. Stop the game. Otherwise, you have to answer for the people you kill, or once the needles are in the market, people will start dying of it. Whoever, whatever you know, where we think she's in China trying to develop these, I warn you, this is a death trap waiting to happen, and Keshe Foundation keeps itself totally clear. We nano-coated these to show a technology. And with it, as Marco said this morning, we showed the color difference in the needles. But now it's been taken to a point where it's on the verge of high criminality and loss of life. And we keep ourselves totally away from any action by Dr. Kostova or anybody else in China who's developing this application. Because the difference is, up to now, it was matter energy. Now you're dealing with the gas and transfer of energy, the same as these cups. The same as you do in these. And if you enter nerve, the shock is so big, I take a picture how the gas material transfer energy yesterday in a very simple way, was it yesterday before, we soldered stainless steel. We fused it. Now imagine how if any of these touches with the gas of the blood, voila. Don't come back and say, you said, we keep ourselves. We are here to teach, develop knowledge and science. And when there is a problem, I explain. This is death 100% waiting to happen. And Keshe Foundation stays away from any, we tell you do not touch, we explain to you the reason. Acupuncture needles, which are nano-coated, are lethal weapon if you want to kill. And if it's done, especially if you use these to connect electrodes to it, and you've seen what happens in matter state. They store energy to a limit, and then reaches the threshold, the energy released to the nervous system, brain damage, heart attack, paralysis is inevitable. Those who look and find nano-coating needles, that's why I said the technology should be not interfering with the internal structure. In the food you eat, you drink, it goes through the stomach, body decides what it wants to take from it. With the needles, you enter the vacuum condition and you enforce the energy. This is a murder waiting to happen. It is not a mistake. So please withdraw, any of you, because I received a couple of emails recently, can we use your acupuncture needle coated for this disease, that disease? No. And I said from the beginning, you do it from outside, because when you do it outside, the body takes what it needs. Here, you enforce it. Body has no choice. The energy enters, it has to distribute it. And if you, by accident, one of the needles is touching your nerve or in a blood vessel, the transfer is a superconductor rapid. Heart seizure, brain hemorrhage, and I have directly informed the Chinese government of such a procedure has to be banned in China before it takes root. Because it's a criminal offense. If you don't know it, we know it. We stop it before it takes and becomes marketed. I'm sure Mr. Hoy is listening, Sohel are listening. It's your responsibility as a representative of Keshe Foundation to inform the Chinese government of such a procedure taking place, and scientifically we can deliver data for it to support it. So now you see the difference. You can add the needle with the energy of a strawberry, if you like, next to the cup, because the water takes what it needs, and second filter is your body. It takes from the water what it needs from it. So you have full control on everything. That's what I said from the beginning to all of you. Don't drink the GANs. Now you're not drinking the GANs because GANs, you absorbing huge amount of energy, you can't do much with. You'll find out something very interesting. If you go to what you call it, big toilet once a day, you might do it once a year if you just rely on this, because there's not much. You become a plant. That's why if I go back to the teaching a couple of weeks ago, you don't see any toilet next to each tree, and you don't see a part, heap of manure, because you take energy as you need it. So it is very important to understand the process you're doing, what was explained by Alex. He is, I told you, he is very much, because he understood he's a child of plasma without background of science. The more you listen to him, this afternoon we go to another dimension of it, he's becoming like a Da Vinci. Bit of everything. But he hasn't understood the totality of it. He's the experimental session. When he starts analyzing data in understanding of the field, then we go to another level. And strange enough, very much like nylon. Nylon was discovered by two groups in London and New York. And both of them wanted to patent it, and both they wanted credit for it. So what they did, they came up with a solution with a patent office that both could be benefited. New York, London. That's why we call it a nylon. It means scientists at the same time came to the maturity to understand the same thing. Now we're seeing the same thing with respect to orange and banana and apple. in two different, one in England and one in China. Did they read what he put on, or did they come to it? It's irrelevant. Now the scientists around the world, plasma scientists, are all coming to same kind of conclusion the same time. The limitation fear is going away. Now the exploration starts. We explore, we see what we can bring, what we can do, what is the outcome. So,
maybe we create a banapple.
pardon?
Maybe we create a banapple, a banana apple.
Pineapple, yeah. But be careful, Eve doesn't take the wrong rib. Did you get it? No.
Not quite.
You didn't get it. It's okay.
Fill me in
Because
on
they,
a little
the
that one.
Adam human race went wrong because of the Adam picking
Yeah,
the,
okay, Adam
yeah.
apple.
And then Eve was the one with the made out of the ribs. But he says an apple. No, but the thing is, that's what he says, apple banana. So that's where his problem sits.
Well, I was just thinking of with the New York, London is nylon, so maybe we can have banana
Now
apple.
you can make all sorts of taste and things now you can mix because you don't need the physicality. You do it by taste. What's the time? Oh God. So we're going to stop this afternoon. We go to the next session. They have what do you call it? Maple syrup. Maple syrup. Okay, it's 1:30. We've gone too long today. We stop. We could start at about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then we end up the open session today in the evening. Hopefully, we we should be able to explain to you if you are looking for, because now we spoke about it, if you are looking to buy the energy unit, to order it, delivery between 60 to 90 days. We try to do it within the first 60 days. You can place your order through the shop. They're going to put it up and it'll be manufactured. At the beginning, it'll be a slight delay till we get the whole thing in line. But you can have a free plasma energy unit from Cash Foundation. We guarantee our work. Otherwise, we don't put things out as you've seen up to now. And you can have a free energy and what do you call it? We have to understand with a free energy, we'll put a world peace document you have to sign, which means peaceful thinking, and with it, you bring peace, not destruction. And you have to be correct. In the structure I've asked Rick to do is stated, you have to tell us which nation you want us to pay the 200 to, that you take employment, has the finances to create a condition for new employment. Thank you very much indeed for today. We'll see you in about an hour and a half.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cash.
Thank you very much. Yes, yes. We broadcast because Alex is here, and we still have another part to cover that he opens up the whole package. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you indeed.
Okay, that ends the morning session for Friday, July 3rd. And this is the continuation of the 68th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for this Cash Foundation Spaceship Institute. Thank you, everybody, for attending. See you in the afternoon session.